أول ما بتلتقوا بحدا بتسألوه شو الأخبار. لهيك لنكون قراب منكن ونحكي لغتكن سمينا حالنا شو الأخبار. بلشنا بخطوة وماشيين بآلاف الأميال، خلينا شغفنا الخبر والعين اللي بنشوف فيها هالدنيا عدست كاميرتنا. قررنا نكون منكن وإلكن، تشاركنا فرحكن وحزنكن، تشاركنا مشاكلكن ووجعكن، وكنا ورح نضل منبر لجاليتنا. شو الأخبار ويب تي في باقة كبيرة ومتنوعة، برامج حوارية، تقارير إخبارية، برامج ترفيه، برامج ثقافية، بالإضافة إلى إعلاناتكن. شو الأخبار؟ الخبر اليقين. تابعونا الآن.
And taking the time out of your busy day to make it to this meeting that honestly it benefits everybody in this community. And the turnout, alhamdulillah, it's not the greatest, but the quality is here. So thank you all for coming. In the beginning, I would like to welcome Dr. Haj Nasib Fawaz to welcome everybody. Let's give him a round of applause, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سامعين؟ بدك يحكي الميكروفون ولا بكفي؟ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. On behalf of the Islamic Center of America, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and the Chairman of the Islamic Center of America, Mr. Mazen Shab, we welcome you to the Islamic Center of America. This institution is a jewel in the crown of our community. I want to tell you a little story. I think some of you have heard it before, from our governor, previous governor, Jennifer Grayholm. She was here at this podium, and she said that when God created the earth, He put His hand on it to swing it. When He put His palm on it, that's Michigan. And the Islamic Center, this institution, is the jewel in the hands of God and Michigan. That's what the governor said, I quote. But this Islamic Center really is yours. You own it, the community owns it, nobody owns it. And you should be here. You should have all your activities here. You should participate in all the activities, in social activities, in religious activities, in Ramadan and Ashura, at the dinners, at the fundraising dinners. This is very important. For you, you have to help this Islamic institution and protect this Islamic institution. It's very important that you are members of this institution. This is yours. So I want to welcome you again, and thank you very much for coming, and I will make it long. Shukran wa salaam alaikum.
Again, I would like to welcome everybody and also welcome all the elected officials. I honestly didn't want to get into the name game, as you all as dear to our hearts and you're all just as important. So welcome everybody. Next, I would like to welcome our own Dr. Ali Gari.
Thank you, Marwan. Thank you to Haj Nasib Fawaz for also welcoming us into the Islamic Center of America. It's truly a jewel for our community. Also, thank you to the Islamic Institute of Knowledge. We had our last meeting there. Hopefully our next meeting will be at one of our local churches. This is definitely a community issue that we're trying to deal with, and I think our religious institutions are at the heart of our community. So thank you to all the religious institutions for supporting us. So some of you are aware of what our movement is about, but some of you may not. So I want to make sure I spend just a few minutes, if you allow me, just to kind of recap what we have done and why. You may be wondering yourself, what's a physician standing up here talking about taxes? What does he have to do with that? Well, before I was a physician, I was a child that grew up in Dearborn, played at the parks, benefited from city services. I grew up in the city of Dearborn. I attended public schools in the city of Dearborn. And my parents, just like your parents and your relatives and your friends, live in the city of Dearborn. So the city of Dearborn is dear to our hearts. The Dearborn Advocacy Council that you see up here was formed pretty much spontaneously by a group of people in the community who had the same feelings about our city and where it's going for the future of our city, but never came together. But as we see the future of our children at stake in our city, we had to act. So although we'll focus today a little bit about taxation and what's happening with assessments of our homes, the focus truly is not about that particular matter or the money portion of it. It's more about the process and what does it mean to us, to you, to our children. You see, we all probably have had family members and friends who've left the city, who've moved to other cities because they can get better homes, maybe even better services, maybe even better education, and pay less in taxes. And that's their right. But if you truly care about your city and your neighborhood and your friends and your family, and you want to stay besides your family, you would ask some questions and you would stay. So this is not about just now, it's about the future. It's about your children, it's about our children. When they want to stay in the city of Dearborn, they want to stay next to you, would they be able to afford a home in the city of Dearborn? Would they be able to afford actually paying the taxes in the city of Dearborn? And it's a fair question always to ask, what are we getting in return for every dollar we spend in taxes? What are we getting in services? What are we getting in education? What are we getting in fire and police? What are we getting in community programs? All fair questions. So there's a few slides here, hopefully I don't bore everybody with, that I'm going to put up just so that we can have a little bit of kind of visual recognition. So if we can go to the next slide, if you don't mind. So who are we? Well, we're now a nonprofit organization that represents all of us, the residents, the voters, the taxpayers in the city of Dearborn. What's our mission? Our mission is the mission that I stated earlier is your mission. Our mission is to see the future for our kids to be a bright future, a future where they can be around us, have good schools, have good services, and we can have a beautiful city. One thing that really pushed this group to start was as we started hearing about development in our city and how our development in our city is hindered by maybe high taxes, we really took a pause and we started thinking, well, what does it mean to everybody and why is this happening? Another reason that we kind of took a pause was the way the city, and when I say the city, I don't mean everybody at the city, please. Plenty of great people in our city, especially our city council, but some city administrators kind of brushed us aside, did not want to hear our voices. So we came together and we had a meeting which we had more than 100 families attend, and they chose a committee, and I was honored to be part of that committee. And the first thing they said to us, find out the truth, do your research, and then bring it back to us. And so we did. We started reading state tax law, city charter. We started investigating what's happening in our community, what's happening with our assessments, what's happening with our homes, what's our millage, what's inside our millage. We asked all the key questions, and I want to spend a few minutes going over those very quickly. But when we reported back to the community on these things, people were very upset. So we called for a meeting with the mayor, and we had a meeting with the mayor and the assessor of the city, and we told them, Just because we are a group who loves our city and stays in our city doesn't mean we should be taken advantage of. We think that assessments of business and residential properties in the city of Dearborn should be fair, but should be transparent. We should all understand the process. And they were somewhat responsive. But no action took place. So we took our cause to City Council, and City Council was also very receptive, and they opened the door for us to actually bring in the assessor and talk to the assessor and try to figure out what's happened in the city, and we did this. But, and I just to be transparent, and the committee wanted me to bring this up, they also asked us to talk to law firms. And we did. We interviewed multiple law firms. We learned our rights. We found out there are issues that affect the Fair Housing Act in our city. There is also an issue of disparate impact in our city, which means if you're a minority and you're living next to our jewel, our mosque, or you're living next to the only large mosque in southeastern Michigan, and you feel that if you leave, your children cannot attend their mosque, then what is your position? Do you leave and risk that your children don't know about their culture and don't visit their grandparents or their aunts or their uncles just because you can't afford your taxes? So that's what a disparate impact is, and we're having that. We all are feeling it, but we're not all articulating it. And so our group wants to articulate it on your behalf and on behalf of your children. So it's not about me, it's not about any of the members in this committee, it's about the future of our children. And I wanted to be sure that that's very clear in everybody's minds. Now, the millage in the city of Dearborn is about $63 to $64. What does that mean? Well, a millage affects our taxation. If your home is worth $100,000 and our millage is 64, which means every mill is $1 on every thousand of your home. If your home for $100,000 assessed taxable value would be $6,400. Now, in comparison to other cities, and we'll have a graph up here shortly that you can see if you don't mind moving to that graph, just so that you know where we are with our millage rates. So here's a little comparison, just so you know. At the bottom, we have the Charter Township of Canton, which has Canton Plymouth schools, which are great schools. Their millage is $31 per $1,000. That is 50% less than the city of Dearborn. You can see Dearborn Heights, you can see Grosse Ile, you can see Plymouth Township, you can see Northville, you can see Livonia. Furthermore, our county, Wayne County, has the highest county millage in the entire state and one of the highest in the country. Now, to be fair, not all this money in our millage goes to the city. It's probably 30 cents on the dollar to the city. Some of it is for public schools, some of it is for fire and police, some of it for other city programs and administration. But we need to know what's in there, and we have to ask questions, because it really affects the same home assessed at the same taxable value in Canton. In Dearborn is double the taxes. That's money out of your pockets, but maybe if right now if you're living in a home that's capped and you've had it for a very long time and you're happy with that, that's not a problem. But your children are going to have a problem. If your children want to live next to you, the home they buy, no matter how old it is, will be taxed at this higher millage at a new taxable value. This is not about just now, it's about the future. I will say it and keep saying it because I want to make sure that we all as a community understand it. Now, also as a community, we have a responsibility to also be good citizens and to also always ask what's not just in the interest of my pocket, but what's the interest of our community and our children. So one of the things that's coming up and we're going to touch on today is a bond proposal. Some of us are calling it renewal. So some of us are just calling it a new bond proposal for our education, our schools. Now, the committee, when we spoke and we met on behalf of everybody with the mayor and the assessor and the chief of staff, we put our foot down and we said, at a city council, we said the voters of the city, we will educate them about their millage rate. We will educate them on what's going on. But right now, our stance is to tell everybody to vote down every millage that comes up until everybody listens to us, because it's about the future of our children. And we have some people here from the Board of Education can shed a little bit light about the issue of the new millage and the proposal and how it's going to affect our taxes. But more importantly, we will listen to them, but we want also everybody who benefits from taxation to also listen to us and to help us with our costs. Because I think all together we can work for a better future for our kids. And I know many of the Board of Education members, our school administrators, our teachers live in this community and they're taxpayers and they have children in this same community. So they share the same concerns that we have. We had a follow-up meeting with the mayor and the assessor. And during that follow-up meeting, we proposed to the mayor that we set up a commission to study the development and redevelopment of properties in the city of Dearborn and how the millage plus the aggressive assessment of our properties can hinder growth in our city. And the mayor agreed. We will follow up with him. We will obtain details. We will keep the pressure up on him because we think it's super important. We also asked the assessor's office, Mr. Gary Ivanko, to work with people that need immediate tax relief for their businesses and for their residents, primary residents, to look and to take a really good, careful look at their valid concerns. And he has been working with Mr. Marwan Faraj, who I thank, who's a gentleman who has a business, who has a family, who is extremely busy, who is working tirelessly on our behalf, all of us and our children, to kind of organize that with the city. And he's had the assessor actually visit people's homes. And the assessor, for some reason or another, has been agreeing with our grievances. And he at some point appears to be shocked and appears to be confused. We don't want to get into all the details. There's a lot of probably internal politics there. Our eye is on the future of our children. We want this process to be very transparent for our community and to all residents in the city of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights. So, we will continue to update everybody. But if you have an issue and you haven't signed up, you haven't talked to Mr. Faraj, Marwan Faraj, about your issue, please do. It's hard for us to help people if you're not involved. Please get involved. Please spread the word. Now, what's also coming up is elections. And if we can't make changes now by having good dialogue with our city leaders and administrators, city council members, we could definitely do it come elections. And so there's a slide up here that talks about the new kind of absentee ballots and how that can affect the future election. If you have an elderly parent who loves to vote and would want to vote but can't go out and vote, you can register them to vote, absentee, they can sign at home and we can mail it in. If you haven't registered to vote, please do. We have a link. And our group is definitely going to have a push to register people to vote and get out the vote campaign. So there's a little slide up here that also speaks about assessments. Each and every one of you gets assessments for their homes and their businesses, but it's maybe unclear to all of us. So as soon as I step down, I'm going to ask Mr. Will Arabi, who's also been really helpful, who also works in the field of appraisals of homes, to kind of just touch base on it a little bit. There's a lot behind that little white sheet that you get that you don't understand and you may not see, and he'll explain it to all of us. And after we're done, we would probably ask to kind of open it to a town hall meeting style where people can come to the mic, ask any questions, and we want to have a discussion. We want to have an open discussion, respectable discussion, and we're going to do it with an open heart and an open mind and come up with good decisions for our community at the end of our meeting today. So thank you everybody for coming out, and thank you for everybody that helped organize this meeting.
Again, welcome everybody, and I'd like to mention also, like Dr. Ali mentioned before, that we would like to thank the City Council, President and members in the City of Dearborn for actually taking the time and listening to this issue and working with us. Today, Council President Susan DeBaggio was supposed to be with us. Unfortunately, due to this meeting being kind of last minute, and she had already travel arrangements, so due to that, she couldn't be here today. And next, I would like to call our friend Will Arabi, and he's probably more knowledgeable about the assessment, and he can probably talk more about that.
Hello, everyone. We're looking at a slide of an annual assessment that's mailed to every homeowner in the state of Michigan, either the end of January or early February. In the state of Michigan, in the month of March, it's known as the March Board of Review. During the March Board of Review statewide, every city, every municipality in the state goes through all their assessments, and this is when they are able to reassess properties, and they set the assessments for uncapped properties. And if you have any disputes, you as a taxpayer and homeowner, whether it be commercial or residential property, you have the option to go in front of the March Board of Review and dispute these numbers based on evidence, comparable sales data, using appraisals. Anything, there may be something wrong with the property, some deficiencies which adversely impact the value of the property. These are all things that you can use as evidence to go in front of the city and to make a claim that your home is being overassessed. So you get this form, and there's some numbers on here. I'm going to step over here. What's your taxable value? Well, actually, we're going to start with the assessed value. The assessed value is what your house is worth based on, I apologize, this is the first time I'm looking at this data. The state equalized value and the assessed value are typically equal. If you take the state equalized value and the assessed value and you double these numbers, this would give you the true cash value of your property. The taxable value, when your property is assessed, is set in line with the state equalized value and your assessed value. Your assessed value goes up with the market. So if the market value of the property goes up, let's say by $50,000, your SEV can go up by $50,000, or your state equalized value can go up by $50,000. But your taxable value is capped. You've been hearing the word and term cap since we've been up here and becoming uncapped. What does that mean? That means that your taxable value cannot go up more than consumer price index. I think it's capped at 5%, which is the cost of living and inflation, the lesser of the two, which has historically been about 2% per year. And again, you're capped at 5%. So let's say the market starts jumping in 5 years, your state equalized value goes up by, you know what, I'm going to start over. Let's do some simple math. Let's say you have a taxable value of $100,000, state equalized value of $100,000. If the market jumps up to 150, your taxable value can go up to $150,000. But your taxable value is capped. The taxable value can only go up by, let's say the number's at 2%, it can only go up by 2% that year. So as the years go by, the state equalized value goes up, and your taxable value can only go up, again, tied to consumer price index, cost of living, inflation, the lesser of the two values, and there's a wide gap. You want to go sell your property in the future, and in many cases, because the taxable value is so low and the state equalized value is so high, when you go to sell your property, the taxes are going to increase significantly, in some cases double, which is the scenario that Dr. Berry said, you want your kids to move in next door, they're going to buy the property. You're going to have an identical house next door, you're paying, let's say, $5,000 per year. When that house sells and reassesses based on this higher millage rate and based on the new purchase price, then the taxes can go up substantially. So it's very important to take a look at this document and know that when you have Any questions, you can contact your local assessor's office. They will answer your questions. You're more than welcome to contact me at my office. I'm a local appraiser. I'd be happy to go over any of these assessments with anybody. But know that you have options if you disagree with any of these numbers. And that's exactly what we've done as homeowners and as a committee. I currently reside in Dearborn Heights. I was born in Dearborn. My kids attend school in Dearborn, and my business is in Dearborn. I'd like to move back into the city of Dearborn, but to take my house and just move it into Dearborn city lines to have the exact same house, I'll go from paying $5,000 per year in taxes because I'm capped to approximately $15,000 in the city of Dearborn. This is a challenge that I face just like anybody else. It's also, when you go to sell your house, buyers are now mindful of higher taxes in these caps. The taxes are currently lower, but when we get reassessed, the taxes are going to go up, which will adversely impact the marketability of the property because the millage rate is continuing to go up, the market's going up, and it translates to higher tax bills. So with that being said, this is a very important document and everybody needs to review it when it's mailed to them every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Sam. Up next, I would like to call our friend Sam Hamadi, say a few words. You give him a round of applause, please.
I want to thank everybody for showing up. This is important. This is necessary. We started a fight with the city over our homes being overtaxed. And we want to kind of push it a little further and include our city into galvanizing people to vote. I want to talk about how important it is for everyone to vote, especially our younger citizens, our parents at home, making sure that we get our absentee ballots to them and having that filled out and explaining to them how important that is. At this point, we want to open up the discussion with Dr. Ali Berry.
So I'm sure there's a lot of questions that everybody's going to have. And so we want to open it up to a discussion. So we want to pass up the mic. So, and Marwan can lead that. But if I would like to invite any of our city officials if they want to speak initially. Because I think a lot of guests want to hear you and want to hear any issues that you may have. Anybody interested in saying anything from our city? Mr. Sam Baidoun, Mr. Adil, Mr. Hassan Berry, anybody would like to say anything?
Thank you, Dr. Ali. This is a very important subject and issue, obviously. I've been doing this for 25 years, helping people appeal their property taxes. And I really want to applaud this group for bringing the professionals together. We're all getting impacted by this. I'm a real estate broker by profession. I see this every day. I have several homes that are for sale right now, new constructions. They're not selling because of the uncapping when the people buy the home, how much their property taxes are going to be. I've been working with the city. I have worked with this with the city assessor on many properties, and they were able to help. And there's a process that you have to appeal your taxes. First, in the like Will mentioned earlier, you got to go to the March Board of Review, and then you have to go to the State Tax Tribunal to get some relief. It's a really double-edged sword. It's a problem with two folds. That you have the millage rate, and then you have the uncapping. Nobody mentioned the word Proposal A, but I just want to give you some historical perspective. In 1994, the state of Michigan passed Proposal A, which basically it was intended to protect people from rising property taxes for those people who have been in their homes for many years. they are benefiting from proposal A, because your taxable value is down here and assessed value is up here. This is when the problem happens, when the property gets sold, it gets uncapped, and the city, and this is, the State Tax Commission give the cities the guidelines as to how they assess these properties. And I understand that the assessor has found some discrepancies and he's making some corrections. And I really want to applaud this group, because you led the fight and the effort when we met with the mayor and Gary Evanko, and you opened up their eyes. And I just want to tell you, you need to be involved. A lot of people don't understand the assessment. They get the assessment in the mail and they don't know what to do with it. So ask questions, and this is a good source right now. I'm very, very happy that this group of professionals came together. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions a little bit later, but I just wanted to offer my input. And thank you, Dr. Ali Berry, and all of you. Marwan, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So, I mean, you heard what Sam says, but I want to make sure, just out of fairness, I explain also the opposite process to this. And this is actually our beef with what's going on. If you get an assessment and you go to the board here in Dearborn to appeal it, the percentage of appeals that are accepted in Dearborn are extremely low. Then you are forced to maybe hire a lawyer or hire a person that can represent you, maybe pay for an appraiser to come in and appraise your home, to go to the Michigan Tax Tribunal to ask for your rights if you believe that you've been overly assessed on your residential or commercial property. And what happens there, usually it doesn't go all the way to court. Usually it's worked out and you are bracketed. You have your value of your home, you think you should be assessed X, the city thinks it's Y, and you meet at Z in the middle, or opposite, Z and then Y in the middle. But this is an unfair process. We want to give you guys an example. In the city of Dearborn, if one home sells in your neighborhood at, say, $150 a square foot, the next home gets assessed as that. Is that proper? We're going to give you an example. In the cities like Northville, and this came out of Gary Evanko's mouth, by the way. So, in the city of Northville, or in the city of Birmingham, and our research has turned out tons of examples, if a home sells for X, when it goes to be assessed, it is assessed at X minus 30%. And you know why? Because the assessor there in the city is cognizant of the fact that if you overtax your residents and your commercial businesses, you hinder development in your city. And when you hinder development in your city, you have people leaving, you have an exodus, you have a brain drain. What happens? We start begging for bondage to get to pay for our schools. We want Title I entitlements because we have immigrants, we have uneducated people that just don't work or anything like that, and we support all of that. But we don't want that. We want our city to thrive. We want their tax coffers to be filled properly. We want them to utilize the money the right way, fairly, and transparently. Now, we've been up here working for about 2 to 3 months on this, and I will tell you this. The 11 professionals that you see part of this committee, all of them in their mind to this day have not gotten a clear answer how our city does our assessments. It is at least arbitrary, it's extremely aggressive, at least, and very, very not transparent, and actually at one point it actually violates what the state law specifies. So I thank Sam for what he said, but I want you to understand these things. Now, buried in the assessment that you get every time is something called classifications. Our homes are classified, A, B, or C. They go from minus 10C to plus 10C, B minus 10 to B plus 10, A minus 10 to A plus 10. Has anybody ever asked or seen that? If you don't go ask for your card for your home out of the city assessor's office, you won't know. And that's supposed to be a transparent process. Well, our findings is this. Our findings, it's been super arbitrary, and our findings show that those classifications have been aggressive in a lot of our neighborhoods. So please, ask questions. See why your classification is A and your neighbor may be C. please. So I want to make sure, go ahead. Good.
I'm sorry, there's a very important point I want to make. When you go out and you're looking for a home, whether you're a first-time home buyer or second home-time buyer looking for a home, make sure that you ask your agent, whether it's you're buying by owner or you're going through a real estate broker. Every agent out there should know what the millage rate is in Dearborn Heights and in Dearborn. You need to ask the question. If you're looking at a listing and the taxes right now, they're $5,000, and you ask your agent what are the taxes are going to be, if he doesn't tell you that this is going to change and gets uncapped and it's going to go up, then there's something wrong. You need to educate yourself. You have to ask your agent the question. And I want to take this opportunity and call on all of my colleagues in the real estate industry to be more involved and ask the questions and educate their clients. By the way, Mr. Buyer, this is what your taxes are going to be based on the millage rate. It's very important to do that.
And all of them will say, wow, I don't want to buy a home anymore. I'm going to go to Northville or Novi or Canton if you're looking for a nice home. Okay? So just know that. This is what's happening in our city. Our homes are all getting older. Look at your neighborhoods. They're all getting older. They all need to be remodeled. We need to have a beautiful city. There's nothing wrong with asking for a beautiful city and having beautiful parks. It's your right. You want to have beautiful services, great schools. We value all those things. But it's our right to ask. And if the city adopts a policy that's aggressive and hinders that, we should demand that our leadership puts people in place that sees the same vision as us residents do. And if some people are not able to do that, get other ones. And this is why it's important to vote. Very important to vote. So I don't want to take up all the oxygen in the room. I know we have City Council men and women that would like to say some things. Are you still interested in saying something? Okay. It's Leslie Herrick. I was going to say Herring. That's why I wanted to ask her. Okay.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for holding this forum this evening. I appreciate the committee that's been meeting with the mayor and all of you who came forward and met with us in this, the city council and the assessor, what, about 6 weeks ago? Time warp. It's an education process for all of us because we don't go through this every year. And as a single mom and a homeowner myself, I certainly appreciate what we're trying to accomplish here. And as you all know, it's a challenge if we have less taxes to work with, what's going to come off the plate, you know, and move those things around. Oh, sure. So I'm here to learn and listen to your suggestions, and it's been an education. I did not know that you've been meeting with the mayor. I just knew about the meeting that we sat in on. So thank you for that information. I'd like to be included in the loop going forward if possible, because I don't think our whole council's been involved in those discussions. And other than that, like I said, I'm here to learn and to listen and do what I can to assist. So thank you.
Okay, hello everybody. I'm Mike Cerini. I know most of all you guys here, so just to give you, I think everybody I've spoke before, Sam and me actually did something regarding this on Sadal Watal as well. So just to give you a really brief background. Sorry about that. Last year we had the same issue. I called for the assessor to come into a meeting. My colleagues, some of them said we don't have no right to speak to the assessor. That's not, my point I want to give to you guys is we need people to come and voice their opinion. For example, at the last meeting, we found out from the assessor that a new build home or a remodeled home cannot be assessed except mass assessment. I don't know if Will was there, but he said that. He can't do anything unless you appeal, then you can use an appraisal. So I kind of have a hard time believing that that's true. I'm not an appraiser. Is that true? Okay, that's what he said on the record. Just so you know, okay, I mean, I know it's late, and I was late because I had indicated to Marwan I had worked late. I tried to leave early to get here, but look, this is serious. It's serious, and I'm going to tell you why. People come to the council and I'll sit and I'll see 2.5 hours meeting and they'll come up. And I'm like, wow, what has she been waiting 2.5 hours for? And Leslie will attest to this, and they'll say like, my neighbor left his garbage can out over after 5 o'clock. And they're coming to complain. Did I ask you? I'm not saying you should do that. We represent you. But you need to vote and support the people that have a brain and will say what's right and what's wrong. That's what the issue is right now. We can no longer sit as a community in Dearborn and say, that's okay, it's okay. It's not okay to get a tax bill for $65,000. It's not. It's not okay for the assessor to arbitrarily indicate that your house is a class which is called luxury class that does not exist in the state manual. I asked for him to come to a meeting last year and the meeting was stopped because the people in the city and the attorney indicated that we have no right to have the meeting. I disagreed with her and the meeting was called. The assessor is licensed by a state. He has a very specific, does he have wiggle room and interpretation? Yes. But can he classify a house as a different grade that he's never seen before when there's several houses in the community, which some of you were there, that I mentioned, that are bigger than these houses, that are larger than these houses? Why are they different classed? So that's the issue. The classification and the arbitrary value of the home. I'll be honest with you, if you're building a house, the way he indicates it, your best bet is to put nothing in the house, go buy some regular carpet, get the C of O, then put in the stuff you want, because by law, he can't do anything about that. Is that correct, Will? No, that's not how it works. No, it's not supposed to be. But it's not supposed to be that way. The way you change it is you quit voting for people that don't care. That's the bottom line. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. We just had a vote over water. $1 million AK Steel saved last year in water bill. You know where that $1 million went? It got charged to the 26,000 homeowners, residents. That's a fact, undisputed. But go look on the Facebook, they're saying I voted against it. You know why I voted against it? Because they brought it back lower, but not low enough. 24 cities out of the 28 communities that we compare to, you pay more water than 24 other cities next to you. That's why I voted no. That's why I voted no. Okay? So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm not there for the $12,000. I didn't leave my house at 7 a.m. to go to work to come here. I did that because I care. I grew up because my mom started and was the first Muslim woman to be elected to a public office in the United States of America. For me, it means a lot to continue to serve. This is what I can do to help my community. People know me. I've been in it. You can't be in the business I've been in for 25 years and not do right if you're doing something wrong. But we need to quit voting for those that do not support, not you, but your cause. That's the problem.
I'm going to bring back Ali to the mic, you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I just want to so we can keep it short because there's a lot of other points and we want Hassan to talk because of the school millage. Okay, so but just because I said something, I don't want it to be misunderstood when I talked about the bond issue. And this was a good tie-in into that. What I want you to understand is here's what we're saying to you. If the city of Dearborn right now's budget, I'm just going to throw a number, is $1 million. If we have an aggressive policy of tax assessments and people leave and people don't build new homes and people don't uncap their homes, it will stay at $1 million, but you need to renew your schools, you need to build new parks, libraries, you need to pay more to your brave firefighters and policemen. If you don't have more revenue, the city will go down. So if this policy becomes less aggressive, more of us would want to build, more of us would want to stay. We would actually attract people from the outside, make our city more diverse instead of less diverse to come in. You'd have executives that work at Ford that want to be in the city of Dearborn. And then that $1 million becomes $3 million. So now the city has more taxes, more money to work and give us better schools and better roads and more pay for our firefighters and our policemen and our educators. So please, see it from what we're telling you. if we be narrow visioned and we just focus on about our own interest and we don't think for the future and we don't think strategically, our future of our kids is at stake. So I want to invite Mr. Hussein Birri. I'm sure he wants to talk a little bit about the school bond. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
When Dr. Ali called me, first of all, good evening, everybody. When Dr. Ali called me and invited me here, and Hajj Marwan, there's no X, is there an X? Okay, thank you. Hajj Marwan and Dr. Ali invited me. I thought this was going to be like more of a round table discussion, maybe a dozen people, but this is amazing. You guys, this is amazing. It's a good start. Taxes in Dearborn are high? The short answer is yes, they are. There's no doubt about it. What do we do about it? My question is, where was everybody last year when I was speaking about a millage and trying to educate the constituents? But that's behind us. That's behind us. You're right. That's behind us. Okay. Commissioner Beydoun, my brother Hassan, spoke about, Proposal A. That's what started the trouble here in communities like Dearborn, Bloomfield Hills, Canton. That was the beginning of, the beginning of the troubles for us. So the state is not financing public education. It's very, very simple. For every dollar we get from the state, 86 cents is already spent on employees. What does that mean? 14% of our budget we have to maintain 34 buildings. We have to update 10, 15 buses a year. We have to buy books. We have to buy supplies, and you know what I'm talking about. That's only 14%. But when English started this mess way back then, I know there was legislators that fought for communities like ours and gave us the opportunity to bond money when we need it. So we can go ahead and continue the good education that we give to our students. And that's why you see these bonds. Now, I heard a double-edged sword mentioned earlier. This is a double-edged sword. If we're just going to concentrate, that's it. We're not going to support any more bonds when it comes to public education. That can't come back to bite us. That can't come back to bite us, because what's happening right now, there's a few of my colleagues, and that was a good point that Hassan made. We have to educate our buyers so they don't get surprised when they get their tax bills, just like some of us in this room did get surprised. When we go out, when we're selling a house, we get a buyer that calls and says, talk to me about Dearborn. Talk to me about the taxes. And they've done their homework. It's very easy right now to get information online. They compare Dearborn to Canton, they compare it to Livonia, compare it to Northville. They can get pretty much the same house you saw up there for half the taxes. That's real numbers. I did my research last year. If you would have asked me, I would have gave you all my research from last year. But that is real numbers, okay? But why do people stay in Dearborn? Right now, Hassan, Haj Ramzi, anybody, the realtor puts a house on the market, 2-3 days it's sold. Why? Because of the services we have in Dearborn and the schools we have in Dearborn. If we start taking money away from our classrooms, and our school starts going down, what's going to happen to the values of our homes? Thank you, sir. I'm seeing Hassan go and they're going to start going down. That is the truth. 100% there is. Now. Let me get to, I'm going to get to your argument. Your argument is with the assessment process. That's where it's at. To start beating up the schools or the police and fire, because we have a lot of residents that live in Dearborn because they feel safe. I can let my daughter go down the street to her friend and be okay with it. Not too many communities can claim that. We need to get everybody educated on the assessment process, and I know that's where you're going to end up. Once you start breaking down that sheet that was up there, and where's Mr. Arabi? Is he still here? Yeah, well, there was a good job explaining that. Very good job. But once you start breaking it down and you see where every dollar goes, Henry Ford Community College, you have to pay a millage to a community college. So Henry Ford does some great things. I didn't support, it's very obvious. 90% of the people in the room know I didn't support the millage last year because 5 years ago we told you one thing and last year we told you something different. That was the only reason. Henry Ford College, Dearborn Public Schools, they do amazing things. Okay? Now, your question should be that, okay, you're going to be asking us, and I know Mr. Tom Walls, Director of Finance, is here. I did not know he's going to be here, but if you have any questions, he's the man to answer them. He understands this more than anybody that I know. Okay, he's wearing a tiger hat back there. Ask the questions. We're going to be asking you to go out next year for $220 million. Ask us. Hold us accountable. Don't just, wait to get something in the mail and everybody tells you, hey, thumbs up, all these VIPs tell you, vote for this, vote yes, and it gets approved by 60, 70, 80%. No, we need to take the fight to the streets, let everybody know what this is all about. The assessed value is where it's at, okay? And Hassan, kudos to you. I know most of our colleagues do that, educate their buyers about that, but that's a very good point because people get surprised. I buy my house, my mortgage payment is $1,500, I can afford it, and maybe 6 months into it, it jumps up to $2,200 just because Hassan was talking about earlier. So this is an awesome group. I swear, I applaud you guys. I will attend every meeting, answer any questions you want, and God bless you.
So thank you.
Actually, I just want to say something real quick. Before Mike came in, just so I can update you, we did say thank you to all city council members from the president on down for helping us and working with us, because when we went to them, they actually showed that they cared about this and they did something about it. So again, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Leslie, for showing up. Thank you, Susan DeBaggio, everybody on the city council. So without exception, everybody was very helpful, just so I can put this out there.
So very quickly, thank you, Hassan, about your interjection. So there's a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes that we haven't explained to you. So one of the things that Hassan just touched upon is our group is recommending a watchdog group that works with City Council during the budgetary meetings to ask questions on behalf of the committee, to translate it into Arabic, to make it clear, understandable. So we also, we support our school and fire and police. We support our educators. We want good schools. We know it affects our properties. We benefited from those schools. We attended these schools. But if we don't take a stance, as we say enough is enough with this high millage, and we don't ask the right questions, why do other cities that have good schools and good fire and good police and good neighborhoods, and they're very, very safe, have a lower millage? Are they doing special assessments? What are they doing? We want to ask. Maybe there's another way of doing things. Maybe there's a creative way of doing things. But hear us out. What we're saying, we want more taxes to come to the city of Dearborn, not less. And we think that the assessor's office right now, we're looking very closely at it, very aggressive assessments, they're beginning to hinder that. We capped on that, if you will, okay? So I know a few more people want to say some things. I want to make sure Adel gets to speak, and then I want to invite Sam and Eric from the committee to also speak. Thank you.
Islam, Dr. Berry. Thank you so much, everybody, for inviting me to this town hall. I can't add more to what Trustee Berry mentioned, and we get what we pay for, and I do understand that. Before I start talking about the schools, I'm a homeowner myself, and my brother built a house in my neighborhood, and he's paying a lot of taxes, and the whole assessment idea is really concerning. So I want to just mention, because the bond was kind of mentioned a little bit, and I want to clarify two things and make them on the record. First of all, our schools, why our schools have a higher operating budget than others. You do realize that some of our schools are more than 100 years old. Salina just turned 100 years last year. So there's a lot of expenses that goes into the maintenance. Obviously, nobody wants to see Fortson go down. It's a piece of amazing architecture that we hold pride to. So the next bond that you will hear about is not going to increase taxes, obviously, but it's going to renew a new bond. And it will go to a special fund that will help maintain our schools because they're decaying. We haven't really paid attention to the infrastructure for a long time. And some boilers are 60 or 70 years old.
Taxes decrease when we vote yes on that millage, or that millage gets removed?
If that millage does not get renewed, your taxes will go down. But they will go down by a very little bit, but they will hurt our schools. That's correct.
That's what we want to tell you guys.
So, but I will tell you, again, to the idea of the double-edged sword that a lot of people mentioned, the schools are, some of them are going beyond 100 years, and they need maintenance. They need to be in the 21st century. So thank you so much, everybody. Mr. Wall, again, is here to answer any of your questions about the bond. It's going to be voted on next month. It hasn't been voted on. So if you still have concerns, as Hussein said, we're here to listen and to hear you out and to also look at this assessment as well with all of you as residents. So thank you, Dr. Barry.
I know Eric would like to say a few words, and then I know we have plenty of questions. So we'll try to keep it brief, then we need to go questions. I know it's getting late, so I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, my name is Eric Al-Zaroui, and I'm also a member of the committee, and a proud member. I ask each and every one of you, we need help, we need volunteers, we need to have subcommittees, people that understand this process, because let me put it this way, we need to leave a legacy for our kids. Right now, the way the city is going with all these additional taxes, with the process that's going, we're gonna keep asking for bonds. We're gonna keep asking for more money. So, I give you an example. I own a few buildings in the city of Dearborn, and I start selling them. And I told this to the mayor at the last meeting. Who wants to invest in Dearborn if the millage rate and the tax rate is 0.61? You go to any other city and invest. I'm pretty sure other people in this committee, other people in this room, they own buildings, they own homes. So if the city continue to do this, we all gonna lead into an area where there's not gonna be anything left. We are at 0.61% right now. With additional millage, with additional taxes, we might reach 70. So we're asking for help. Anybody that wants to volunteer to be added to the committee, we need a government relation committee. We need to change this city. Can you go up, please, to our mission? Our mission is not only about bringing taxes down. Our mission also talks about other areas in the city. Collaboration, evaluation. We need to go and ask questions in city departments. How did you spend our tax money? Where did you go? Where the money that I paid in taxes, where did it go? Did it go to hire 9 attorneys? Do we need, does anybody, I mean, unless somebody disagree with me, do we need 9 attorneys at the city of Dearborn? And if somebody sued the city today, what happened? They contracted to somebody else. Why do we need 9 people? Why do we need Exactly. And residents of the city are suing the city. We don't want to sue the city. Last time we have meetings, we have a couple of meetings at City Hall. We're going to request an official meeting with City Council. We need to say stop. We need to tell you, we're going to be watching you. We need to know what are you doing with our money? Why people getting paid $80,000 a year? What are you doing for this $80,000 a year? Okay? So I know, Mike, you have an announcement, and this is the pressure. The administration is running forward. Mike, do you want to announce this? Because they're trying to protect themselves. Thank you very much.
Well, I just wanted to say, I talked to my colleague Leslie Herrick here, because when this issue happened with the assessor, I did meet with the mayor because I had some issues that I felt were legally stuff that I thought wasn't done correctly. So when I met with the mayor informed me that as of July 1st, Gary Uvenko will no longer be the assessor for the city of Dearborn. So I don't know if he's retired, because he was retired before, but don't think that it didn't help that the voices were heard. And as I indicated, a year ago I had seen this problem, and actually morphed even larger. So besides that, I do want to just touch bases on the taxes so you can get an idea too. And I think Sam can speak better on the school taxes, but just to give you an idea, the state requires us to give 2 mills of taxes to a community college. I mean, I went to Henry Ford, so I love it too, and I support them. But they have 4 mills, so that's double the state requirement. Doesn't mean we shouldn't support them, but you got to look at that. For example, my colleague Leslie Herrick was here last year. Another proposal came in front of us for the Historical Commission on Brady and the Historical Commission on Brady in Michigan, Garrison. So they wanted to get another mill. They wanted the mill for them. There's people on the council that said the average taxpayer in Dearborn pays less than $80 a month for taxes. It's only going to cost them $20. So when you ask how do these get out of whack and you ask for accountability, Eric, I said to them, and my colleagues agreed, and it was voted down. There was a council person or 2 that voted yes on the $20 for the Historical Commission. You know, we said it's $6 million to build a new building with no plan of how they're going to operate, what the service they're going to provide, and what it's going to give back to the city. So the council knows that if that, and just so you know, all they wanted the council to do is to let it go to the vote of the people. That, in my opinion, is called kicking the can down the road. So when you send it to the people, you know what they're going to vote? They're going to assume that we did our job and thought it was a good thing. But I'm proud to show you that we did not vote for that, and it did not get in front of the taxpayers, because they're going to vote yes. Most of the taxpayers are going to say the city thinks we need it, we should do it. So there is, when people tell you that if you're going to lower the taxes, you're going to lower the services, I tell you that's not true. My opinion is, I don't think, I was born and raised here, I don't think that our city is cleaner, better, more efficient than it was 30 years ago. I don't. I think we could do more. But I want you to understand that there is little things, like the water rates, like the Historical Commission. How many of you know that we have a millage for our library? Guess what the library millage is? Does anybody know? Sam? Where's Sam? Oh, he left? Sam? I thought because we were talking about it. $7.8 million. $7.8 million for a library. For our library. Do we need libraries? Absolutely. But can we find ways to save money from the libraries? We asked to cut the library. My colleague right here, Leslie Herrick, and our council voted to ask them to return $1 million back. They have a surplus of over 35%. So you think about that. Every dollar they take in, they put 35 cents. They have extra after they pay everybody.
Explain to them how many people visit the Bryant Library.
Well, we know. I know. I understand. But you have to get the council. See, everybody wants to say it's not the council. It is the council. It is the council, because we're the ones that see that. I asked them to show me one city that has a $7.8 million budget for a library. They have not showed me one yet. So when you say we can't reduce costs, I disagree wholeheartedly. And I think if I made my income and had 35 cents after I paid everything extra every day, that means I made too much money. And the job of the government, and that's a problem I think a lot of people don't understand that are elected. The job of the government is to give you the best service at the lowest cost to zero as possible. You're not supposed to have surpluses. You know, when I was there early before my colleague came in, they would say, we saved $5 million, we have $5 million extra. They all clap. You know why I didn't clap? Because there's a problem. There's 2 problems with that. Number 1 is that we overcharged the people. Or 2, we budgeted for things in which they didn't do. Either way, it's bad. So I just want you to keep in mind that when they say $20 extra, it's only $20, it's only $40. The people paid that same analogy We had people out with 35% increases in their water bill last year with the same analogy they gave us this year. So I just want you to understand that's where we're coming from. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Serini. Any questions from people in the go ahead. Just, if you don't mind, just pass the mic down.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Ramzi Shamut, I'm a real estate agent by profession. Thank you. I just want to give you guys a real example fact that I'm, as a real estate agent, that I experience every day for the past 17 years. I've been living in Dearborn for 30 years, and I've been selling Dearborn and Dearborn Heights mostly for the past 17 years. In the past, like 2 hours ago, I was shown a house in West Dearborn on North Roosevelt. My buyer is qualified to have a house, to buy a house. The tax is supposed to be no more than $3,600 a year. So he can afford $300 a month taxes. The house that he chose to see, it's a perfect house for him. That's his dream house, the house he loved. The deal was killed because the taxes on that house, $4,800. He couldn't afford the taxes. Had that house been in another state, another city, he could have lived in it peacefully with his family. Another example. I'm showing a client now houses in Northville for the past week, ranges between 900 to 1.2 million. Why? Because I showed him up like all the high-end homes in Dearborn for the past 2 years, and he didn't like any of them because of the taxes. Yes, the best homes that he wanted to live in, but he chose another state because based on the fact that we just showed, the millage rate in Dearborn is 6.3. In Northville, 4.2. Is the city of Dearborn providing us better service? Questionable. And by the way, I'm sorry, I should have said, I applaud the committee, especially Brother Marwan, that he initiated this on Facebook, and I didn't know about this committee until now, until he initiated on Facebook with, I think, Brother Farhat. But I am disappointed because I don't see a lot of community members here, which is, this will affect us for the rest of our lives, and it's been affecting us since we came to Dearborn. And I am very disappointed to see only this amount. Yes, I am proud to see the activity, but I'm disappointed to see only this amount. And this affects us more than any other issue that we face on a daily basis. If we have any SBUA here, 1,000 people minimum attends any SBUA. This issue is supposed to be talked about on the member at SBUA more than any other things, or things that we talk about 1,400 years past that will never benefit us. This benefits us every day of our life. And this is what our ulama, our speakers supposed to say, supposed to talk about every day. Because what other services are we getting living in Dearborn? This is affecting us as professionals, my buyers, his buyers, all my colleagues here, the sellers. Some sellers they lose the buy. Now, today's experience that I just told you, the seller lost a very qualified buyer. Probably he was selling the house to move to another state or to upgrade, downgrade, I don't know. But he lost the buyer because of $1,300 difference in taxes. Another thing, I live on the corner of Cherry Hill and Gully in Dearborn. That corner has 4 zip codes. In the section of Gully and Cherry Hill, 4 zip codes. 4 different taxes in that corner. Another thing, the taxes in Dearborn Heights, 5.4. In Dearborn, 6.2. All the Dearborn Heights residents east of Telegraph, north of Ford Road, they have Dearborn School District. Their millage rate is 6.1. Can anybody explain to me why they have to pay that much difference? Why all these different taxes happening in the same corner and in the same city? Unfortunately, as professionals, we're losing a lot of buyers. city of Dearborn is losing a lot of residents moving to another cities. I guarantee you, every single real estate agent in Dearborn, we have 530 agents in the Dearborn Board of Realtors, they all have these problems on a daily basis. And like Hassan said, every real estate agent should know his facts, his numbers, his data, because that's what we've been asked for every single day. And I can tell you, not all the real estate agents have much knowledge about this issue. I applaud you. Allah ya'tikum al-afiyah. It's a very important issue that you're raising. Thank you, Dr. Ali.
Thank you. So just to quickly, and then I'm going to have Dr. Radwan Saad come up, very quickly on the school bond issue. Our committee is not taking a position against the school bond issue. But what we'd ask the board members, Board of Education, educators, is to join our cause and listen to us, because you're residents just like us. And talk to the mayor, because this is all in the hands of the mayor. Now, Gary Ivanko is leaving. We will be having another assessor. We should all ask, what's the philosophy of this new assessor? Is he going to buy in to a policy that encourages development in our city? Or is it going to be a tax grab, get as much as we could, as quick as we could, and who cares what happens? We don't want that. We want to increase tax revenue to the city, but we want to do it smartly. So I know Hassan Barry would like to say something quickly.
I just want to make sure that we all understand, for sure, most people do, that it's completely separate budgets.
Correct.
When you talk about Dearborn Public Schools, and
Correct.
the city engineer, it's completely separate.
Correct.
Mr. Walls and I, and
Yeah.
that college, would love to sit down with you.
Correct. And we should schedule a meeting, and we should go through the details so we can educate everybody. So we appreciate that. We appreciate you and Adil, Mr. Wall coming out. So Dr. Saad.
Good evening, Radwan Saad. I have more than one question. As a Dearborn resident, as a father in Dearborn, as a lifetime resident of Dearborn, I'm very concerned. My first question is, I represent one of 40,000 Arab Americans in the city of Dearborn. My first concern and my question is, why are we underrepresented in every department in the city of Dearborn? How come we don't have 40% of the police department? How come we don't have 40% of the assessor's office? How come we don't have 40% across the board? That's my first question, okay? My second question is, why is it that I have to pay double the amount of taxes, property taxes, on my home? If I was to pick my home up and move it the way it is to West Bloomfield, you talk about schools, you talk about public service, there are schools there and there's public service there. What is Dearborn doing for us? We're paying twice the amount, not 10 and 20%. Why is it that I have to put my kids and pay for their education in private schools? You know why? Because I've lost trust in the education here. No offense to Hassan Berry, because he speaks for us. He's the only one that speaks for us on that board. But I'll tell you, I don't trust the Dearborn school systems. They're not the schools when I went to school here in Dearborn, okay? Everything across the board is going down, and they continue to increase our taxes. Why is it that I can't pick up my kids on a weekend and go spend the afternoon at a Dearborn park? You know why? Have you visited one of our parks? Certainly not what they used to be. That's my other question. Why do I have to go outside to another city to enjoy an afternoon at the park? Why is it that I can't afford auto insurance in Dearborn? Everywhere else it's half the amount. $3,000 for a basic car a year when you go outside and you pay half that amount? And we're going to stay quiet through all this? Another question. Why is it that we have to assemble all these gentlemen here that have to take off from work, away from their families, so that we can ask the questions? That's not our job. The job of that is the people that we elected to office to speak on our behalf. We can't stay silent and rely on those people because they're not doing the job for us, okay? These guys are leaving work to come here to discuss taxes. Why? Because we don't trust the assessor. And it's not the assessor, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen. You have to hold the person who's accountable. And that person is Mayor O'Reilly. That's where it starts. It's not the assessor's fault. It's the person that hires the assessor. It's the person that hires the building and safety director that comes out and pushes us around and asks the question, how do you afford to build this house? What kind of question is that to ask a homeowner? How many of us have had this type of treatment? from building and safety inspectors. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot stay quiet anymore. We have these millages that we vote for blindly. The last Proposal A, you bring up Proposal A, we had a surplus in the Dearborn City budget, and we also voted for that when there was no reason to vote for it. They had a surplus in their budget that they could have spent money on the schools, if that's what they're doing. And my question is now, where is that money being spent? Why don't we have the Dearborn Public Schools we used to have? You know why? Because the person at the top is mismanaging our money. He's mismanaging us, and it can't stay quiet and allow this to happen. Hold the person that's accountable. It starts at the top. Thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Saad. Okay, it's 20 minutes before 9. We want to move it very, very quickly. But these are the issues that some people who've left our community bring up all the time. I want to also applaud Dr. Marwan Shaitu, who actually, to the mayor, brought up complaints of how the residents sometimes are treated when they visit city administration buildings. They're not treated as residents. They're not treated as customers. They're treated like a burden. And he actually documented the insults that some of the residents had received, and the mayor promised to address that, and we will continue to follow up on that. But these are little things, and there's bigger things, and I agree with Dr. Saad. We have to vote. We have to put people that really are qualified to represent all of us. It's not just an Arab American problem. I'm proud to be Arab American. It's the city of Dearborn. We're residents, and we want this city to be for everybody. So I know Albert Baidoun would like to say, Albert would like to say something. Albert Abbas, sorry. I want to say Ali Abbas, sorry. And then Sam.
Hello, everyone. I know it's getting late. We all want to get out of here, but I just wanted to touch on two things. One, Mike Serini, Councilman Mike Serini, was talking about how we can save money to try to lower our taxes. And I want to touch on that, and then I want to touch on something that school board member Adil Mosib was talking about these schools. Number one, I am a firm believer of shooting down any proposal at this point, any millage rate increase at this point. And I just want to leave at that with vote no for anything. And the reason I'm saying that is because Mike was talking about it. There's scare tactics used with what are we going to do? Are we going to fire policemen? Are we going to fire firefighters? Are we going to lose our schools and stuff like that? But that's not the case, because right now we have a police force, but most of our police force, and I'm not trying to call out anyone, they're giving tickets, and instead of working within the community inside of the neighborhoods, if they wanted to give tickets, they're on service drives making speed traps for us. So I don't want to support millages that are going to help the police to do something like that. They're there to protect and serve, but we're getting a lot of tickets where it's unnecessary. In regards to the schools, we're putting a lot of Band-Aids, and Adil Mosib talked about the schools putting that they have a lot of maintenance because they're 100 years old. Well, I'm for coming up with a 10-year plan, maintaining those buildings. If we come up with a 10-year plan on how we're going to build a new school system, something that's going to be state-of-the-art facility, so we don't have to keep putting these Band-Aids on, because it is a money pit, just like the home that I bought that I'm being overtaxed on. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ali, for your interjection. Sam, you would like to say something?
Sam Miller. I could probably answer most of the questions that everybody's had tonight. I do property tax appeals for a living. I've been doing this for approximately 12 years. I've handled roughly 3,000 appeals. And I'm going to work backwards. Where'd sign go? Sign right there. I'm going to tell you a little story. I don't know if Sign's listening. He's whispering. Anyways, when the market declined approximately 2010, 11, and 12, I created another company, and I went and talked to superintendents, city council people, and basically I brought it to their attention of where they're missing the boat. And to this day, they're still missing the boat. And it's real simple. When the market declined back in 11, 12, 13, everybody knows, a lot of people went and bought properties and became rental properties. Well, these all came across my desk, signed, hang on, I want you to listen. These came across my desk where a property owner would have 4, 5, 6, 8 properties and say, Sam, reduce these for me. Well, I noticed something really weird. 2, 3, 4 of them were homesteaded. If I assume everybody here knows what homestead is. Basically, a homestead is it's your owner-occupied dwelling. Everything else is a non-homestead or a non-PRE, principal resident exemption. So I said to them, wait a minute. All these rental properties that we have out there, people illegally getting multiple homesteads, let's go after that. Then I researched and I found out, Sam and Sign, the non-homestead millage rate is 18 mills. That's the difference. And then what even surprised me more was 100% of those 18 mills goes to the schools. 100% of that. So I went to a superintendent, I'm not going to mention names, and I told him this. I said, we could fix this. Do the math, $900 if it's a $100,000 home, $900 times 1,000, it's a lot of money. I educated him on it, and he said, Sam, that's a great thing. This is a superintendent making 100, 150 grand a year. He says to me, I got a problem. I said, what's that? He says, I have 2 homesteads. True story. He says, can you please go behind my desk and help me get out of this one? I don't want to be in trouble. This is the superintendent of a school that's illegally having 2 homesteads. So my point about the millages, about the non-homesteads, is hold people accountable. It's real easy to find out who has multiple homesteads. The Wayne County does it, but they usually catch up with people 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. By then it's too late. By that time the property is already transferred multiple times. So, and I've explained this. I sat down with, forget his name at the county right now, explained it to him. My personal belief, and I came from the city, is most municipal people, if anybody's here a municipal person, I apologize, but most municipal people are going through the motions. They're there for the paycheck. They don't care. They don't want to do extra works. Now, including with that additional millage, well, obviously they're going to collect fees for permits, and I believe in the city of Dearborn, every time you change a tenant, you have to get a new permit, and with that it includes permits to, plumbing, inspections, and so on. So that's also additional, few $400, $500, $600, $800 to the city coffers. That's the easiest way to go get money from the city. I'm sorry, from the people for your schools. That's number one. I don't want to take too much time, but working backwards, we got too much issues here. One is the high millage. Yes, Dearborn has a high millage. I compare it mostly to Livonia, which is an older community as well. It's not fair to compare it to, say, a Canton Township or Northfield Township and the like. Bottom line is, at the Tax Tribunal, when you go there, you're guilty until proven innocent. The burden of proof is on you. It's not the other way around. So when you go there, you better make sure you know what the hell you're talking about and doing. And what I caution everybody about is when you go there, everything is thrown out the window. Your assessment, your current assessment doesn't matter anymore. The judge can raise your assessment. So be very careful before you go and make an issue. I can answer any question anybody wants to ask after this. I know we got to get going.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. So I agree. We all have a social responsibility as citizens to our city. We abide by our regulations. We do everything legally. But this also highlights the point is we need some creativity. And we need to work together. We need to kind of hear out each other on these things. The committee also wanted to bring attention to one point of attention for everybody. Our city officials have to all live in the city of Dearborn. Our city administrators have to live in the city of Dearborn. We'd like to see that. We'd like them to be our neighbors. They should feel how we feel. So that's a question that we've asked. And we don't like to hear that our chief of staff doesn't live in our city. We don't like to hear that our policeman department doesn't live in our city. You know, I'm not talking about Ron, I'm talking about police officers. But also, it's our responsibility as residents to also encourage our kids to be part of the firefighter squad, to be part of policemen, to be educators. So I don't want to keep it too long. Anybody would like to make any last point, because I want to sum up. Any last point? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sure. We'll bring it to you.
I just wanted to say real quick from a community member's perspective, born and raised in Dearborn, it's okay, I don't live in Dearborn currently, but I do have a rental property in Dearborn. And I think part of the problem is the community as well. It's easy to point fingers at city officials and people in charge, and rightfully so. But I also think as a community member, a lot of the community members are not informed or choose not to be informed. And I think the more that we put it out there so people clearly understand what we're dealing with, the more receptive that people will be in, like for example, coming up to this event here. It is disappointing not to see a lot of people show up to this type of a meeting. It's very important for everyone involved. The city of Dearborn, in my opinion, is a thriving city. Everywhere you look, there's always new businesses being built, new properties being purchased, and it's a good thing to see that. But on the flip side of it is, the responsibility lies, I mean, this millage didn't just show up out of nowhere. It's been something that's been increasing over the years, and everybody's been quiet about it. And I'm really happy that now it's come to light, finally, and someone is taking a stance to why this is happening. But it's also the responsibility of the community members. A lot of people do things that are not right. As long as it doesn't affect their pocket, I do apologize with all due respect to everyone here. They just kind of turn a blind eye to it. So I'm glad that you're shedding light, and I hope that we can shed more light to it and bring more community members into it and do the right thing by everybody involved, with everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful interjection. So just, this is a, you know, obviously this is a grassroots committee, and you know, every avalanche starts with a snowflake, and hopefully this is what this leads to, but it's a positive avalanche. It doesn't destroy anything, it builds and brings us together. Because at the end, and this is what I want to sum up, this is not it's about the future of our city and our children and our community. And we want it to work well for everybody. And so, first of all, I want to thank everybody, all the members who actually had to work quickly to put this meeting together. Schools just ended, people are about to do summer vacations, so it was done quickly, but let's spread the word. Maybe next meeting we can plan for it way in advance. People understand what the cause is all about. But what we want the take-home message is this. The most important take-home message is what we're dealing with is about the future of our city, our schools, our children, our education, our police force, our firefighters, our services, our parks. It's at everything in our city. This is what it's about. That's the first take-home message. It's not about our personal taxes. We could have left. Most of us could have left. We chose to stay because we are obviously attached to our city. But that's actually a treasure that we have in our city, that a community wants to stay. That's a treasure. If the economy goes down, you can depend on them to stay. If the economy is doing well, they stay. That's good. That brings up, that helps the city thrive. That's the first take-home message. The most important take-home message that's equal to number one is we all have to get involved in the political process, and we all have to exercise our right to vote. So please, with these new laws, with the new regulations, with absentee ballots, everybody make sure that's in here gets all their family members to vote. If they're busy working and they can't go out to vote, have them send in an absentee ballot. Heck, we can probably even do it online. It'll get there. It's not there yet, but we're going to push for that. But let's vote. When you vote, you exercise your power. You can put people in charge that will help achieve what we want. We just want to put in fair people that are hard workers and understand what the issues are in the city and come up with creative solutions and efficient solutions for our city. So thank you very much for attending today, and we definitely will have a follow-up meeting, and we definitely would want to follow up and discuss a little bit further the school millage with the people in charge of that. So please register at dearbornadvocacy@gmail.com. Just give us your name, give us your phone number, tell us what issue you have. If you like us to take on anything with assessments for commercial or real estate or residential real estate for you, we can definitely help you with that. But more importantly, please get involved. Thank you so much.
أول ما بتلتقوا بحدا بتسألوه شو الأخبار، لهيك لنكون قراب منكن ونحكي لغتكن سمينا حالنا شو الأخبار. بلشنا بخطوة وماشيين بآلاف الأميال، خلينا شغفنا الخبر والعين اللي بنشوف فيها هالدنيا عدسة كاميرتنا. قررنا نكون منكن وإلكن، تشاركنا فرحكن وحزنكن، تشاركنا مشاكلكن ووجعكن، وكنا ورح نضل منبر لجاليتنا. شو الأخبار ويب تي في باقة كبيرة ومتنوعة، برامج حوارية، تقارير إخبارية، برامج ترفيه، برامج ثقافية، بالإضافة إلى إعلاناتكن. شو الأخبار؟ الخبر اليقين. تابعونا الآن.